It's even slow doing that. There we go. So, good morning again. Hope you're all feeling great today. Anybody get any questions from last week?
Can I hand the lab in this evening?
Can you what, sorry?
Can I hand the lab in this evening? A bit of an extension.
You've had a week, Nicholas.
I know I had.
And as you've probably noticed, you and all the others who didn't hand it in have been invited to a special meeting to discuss that fact. Indeed. This stuff's important.
Yeah, I know. This is, but to be fair, it's pretty much the only one I've missed. So
possibly, I'd need to go back and check. Maybe you just got unlucky to be caught up in the day I decided to call the meeting. If you haven't handed it in yet, yes, make sure you do.
I'll get it done by the end of the day. I'm sorry.
Anything else from last week? Or anything else in general? Nope. Okay. So, sort of familiar format this week. I'm kind of not ignoring the lecture, but I'm not going to show you the lecture slides because it's basically a bunch of code. We're just going to do a code along. Feel free to code along with me. Feel free to make the same mistakes that I do. And we'll see how we get on. As usual, if you have questions, give me a shout, put them in the chat, do whatever. That said, before I start today, I want you to think back to last week where we were looking at inheritance. And if you remember, I spent an awful lot of time typing in code, finding out that the code was copied. So I had to spend even more time deleting code and altering code and sorting out afterwards. In fact, it took me longer to change the code than it did to write it in the first place. That's my less than subtle way of saying, don't start with the code. Start with a bit of paper, think about what the issue is, think about the problem that you're trying to solve, and design it first. By the time you finish this course, you'll be sick of hearing us say, design it first. When you have to hand in your next assessment, I haven't seen it, but I am absolutely certain it will look for some design documents. Something that says you've thought about it and designed it before you've coded it. And I know some of you will think, oh, well, I can just go chuck straight into the code and get it done. And actually, you might be lucky to do that. But think about what happened last week. As I say, longer to alter than it was to type up. And I kind of know what I'm doing. So if you jump straight into the code, I can assure you, you will spend longer fixing it than you will creating it. And that's why we design stuff before we code it. And in fact, in real life, that's a job. Designing the software is a job. Coding the software is quite often a different job done by a different person. Depending on the size of the organization, they may be the same person, but they are two very specific parts of the job. Programmer and systems analyst. Systems analyst is what you progress to after coding. So please don't just sit and think, oh yeah, here's the problem. Let's just start battering in some text. Actually sit down, think about it, and decide what it is you want to do. Design it on paper, And only once you've got it clear in your head what it is you're going to do, that's when you start coding. And that's part of the reason why the final exercise last week was for you to look at the code and figure out what it would do. Because in essence, that's what you're doing when you're designing it. You have to figure out what you want it to do and then design the code and then create the code. So getting used to that idea that you can look at things and figure out what they're going to do kind of sets you up for that design stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Okay, what we're going to do today then is continue on with our object-oriented stuff. So we've talked about classes, we've talked about attributes, we've talked about methods, we've talked about inheritance. And today I want to use another multisyllabic word, because today we're going to talk about composition. It's similar to inheritance. So with inheritance, you say something is a version of something else. A cat is a version of a feline. A lion is a version of a feline. A tiger is a version of a feline. Composition extends that idea. So rather than saying just is a version of, how about saying that it has a? The DVLA has a list of cars. I have a car. So one of the things that DVLA has is a list of cars, a list of people, and it says this person has this car. They don't recreate the list of people or the list of cars. They just link them together. And that's what composition is going to do. Any of you that are doing any sort of databases will see the same sort of ideas in there as well. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at a has a something relationship. And as I say, the fancy name for that is composition. So we compose classes using parts of other classes or complete other classes. So we're going to extend some of the examples that we've been using before, which is definitely not Cluedo, which is of course trademarked and Hasbro would sue me. So it's absolutely not Cluedo, but it gives you an idea of the sort of game that we're going to emulate here. And just because I was feeling nice today, rather than you watch me type for a while, I spent a wee during the lab there just typing in some code in order to move us on a little. So the first class that I'm going to create is the suspects. So definitely not Miss Scarlet. Definitely not Professor Plum. Definitely not Reverend Green or Colonel Mustard. Definitely not Mrs. White or Mrs. Peacock. And it's definitely not them because it's definitely not Cluedo. We have a list of suspects. We've put them into the square brackets, which denotes that it is a
Sorry? Yeah, you put it in a square bracket, which denotes it's a list.
It's a list. So we've got a list of suspects, and we're going to say for our class suspect, we are simply going to get a random. I didn't delete it, Thomas, it just went off the screen. It's back now. It's just because that line there was so long. We don't normally have lines that long. just scrolled off. You can see I'm at column 119. It's quite unusual. Although it does make a point, sometimes that can be quite annoying. And quite often what I would do when I'm creating such a long list, in order to make it easy to see, I might do something like this, so that I'm not continually scrolling off the screen. Remember, Python doesn't care about the white space, but it makes it really clear what that list is. It makes it really easy to see all the items in there without continually scrolling. Okay, so we've set up a list of suspects. We have used one of our library functions called choice to just grab one of those. Anything else we need to do at this point? We still have an orange line here. Why is that?
It's because random's not being used at all. So you'd need input. Would you need input random?
Random's an external library. To use external libraries, we need to import them. So I'm going to import the library called random. When I do that, random choice is very happy because it matches up there. Okay, so it's just going to grab us a random suspect from that list. And I know that if we were actually playing Cluedo, that wouldn't be enough because we would have, you know, multiple suspects and all that kind of stuff. This doesn't make sure that we only use one, so don't worry about that because of course it's not Cluedo. Okay, so we'll set up our suspect. We have initialized it, and I've just put in another method which just says get the suspect name that we've come up with. Okay, so we can type it out. So we've got a class called suspect. I'm going to create another class called player. So a player in the game has a player name. But what we have done is said that as well as having a player name in the init, we are going to set an attribute called character, and character is itself pointing to another class. So to build up the player, the player has a name and a suspect, and the suspect can point to the class that we've already created. You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Now that suggests that because we've included the suspect class, that everything that we've got in here, like suspect name, like the get suspect method, are all available via player as well. So let's finish building this class for player. So I'll just chuck in a quick display. So if I display the player, it puts the player name and the character that that player is being. And we know that by going to the self character attribute, using the suspect class that we've linked it to, and we've got the suspect name. The question in the chat is about order, and does it matter if you declare suspect before player? For Python, because normally when we started off with Python, we did one thing, then we did the next thing. And we worked our way through doing that. Now that we're doing this kind of stuff, Python won't care. Okay, so I swapped them round and I defined a player before I defined the suspect. Python's happy. So you can do them either order. Any other questions just now? Okay. Just simply because I care, because in my head it's the way I think about it, I'm going to swap them back again. Because I quite want to define the class that I'm going to use before I use it. I'm just going to swap them back again. So what we've got now is a player class and a suspect class, and the player class includes a suspect. So we can do things with them. We can set up variables, player one. And player one is not surprisingly a player. And if we look at our class definition, it says that player needs a player name. So I'm going to call our first player John. I'll set up another player. Now this is where the code breaks down, because of course, if it was Cluedo, which it isn't, each player has to be a different suspect. So using just random wouldn't work. You'd need to do something that made it a unique suspect. But we'll not worry about that just now. And we'll set up a player, Eric. And we can then use the methods that we've displayed, methods that we've created for the player to display their attributes. Remember what display does. It gives the player name, which is held in the player class, but it also uses the getSuspect method, which is defined in the suspect class. And if I quickly run that,
Are you missing the brackets?
Ooh,
it's
because they're
almost like it
functions.
starts to matter more and more. So thank you for those that said it and for those that put it in the chat. Well done. Display is the method that I've defined in the class. Print is a built-in display on the screen. Roland. Okay, so it goes through, it says player one display, prints player name, which is John, and prints the character by going to the suspect class and using the getSuspect method to print the name of the character, Miss Scarlet. Second player name, second player suspect. Okay, so we can follow this on just to show you what's happening. So p1.display goes to the display method in the player class. Prints the player, John. Prints the character, which calls another method. So it jumps up to the suspect class to return the suspect name and prints the suspect. Everyone happy with that? Any questions?
Just absorbing it at the moment.
Okay, so a composite contains multiple components. In this particular case, a suspect is a component of the player. So we can start to imagine relationships between different classes. That's where thinking about them before we go and start typing them up becomes important. Because if we just start typing them up, we are going to have a massive problem trying to create them without knowing what it was we wanted to create in the first place. Okay, if there are no more questions, I shall give you another example. Same idea. Oh, sorry, Eric. Not better. Actually, you don't need to see the code. It's very similar to the stuff that's in the presentations. So if you're not following along quickly enough with my screen, open up the PowerPoint presentation and you can see the code on there. Okay, so I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to create another class called owner. So what I'm going to do is create something similar to the one that I spoke about earlier for the DVLA. So for the DVLA, they have a list of owners. They have a list of cars, and they put them together. So what I'm doing here very quickly is setting up that kind of layout. Now, clearly the owner database would be far more comprehensive than just name, street and town, but this is just for speed. And as is becoming common, as well as setting up the class, I'm going to set up a method to quickly print out the details. Now, when you're doing this in real life, you would probably want to put some explanation around this. The owner's name is and they live at. Okay, but I'm just doing this for speed. So we very quickly create an owner class. And the DVLA keeps track of cars, so let's create a car class. As usual, we'll initialize it and set up the information that we need to go along with that car. make, model, registration number, who owns it, where they live.
Owner's blood type, maybe.
Hmm?
The owner's blood type, you know, phone number, address, credit card details.
Do me a favour, Nicholas, when you're doing your version and handing it in, can you hard code that in? Give me your name, address, credit card number, date of birth, mother's maiden name. Okay, so we can start setting up the car, but rather than using this name, street and town, we're going to use that to point to our already created owners class. Here, the owner of the car is actually called the registered keeper. So the registered keeper, we're going to say, is the owner. And we're going to pass on the things that we've already passed to car. Name, street. So in this case, we're not just pointing to an already created instance of a class, which in the last example was the list that we kept for suspects. Here, when we initialize our new instance of the car class with a new variable, it is automatically going to create a new instance of the owner class and assign that to the same variable. Except, of course, it won't, because as Roland rightly points out, I've missed out a capital letter. Almost like these things matter, and it's almost the reason why you should really, really check your code before saying it's exactly the same. I said last term, and I haven't changed my mind, get yourself a rubber duck or a penguin to talk to, and tell the penguin about your code, tell it what it's doing and read it out. Because the act of talking to that will very soon point out the errors. And if you feel silly reading stuff out, there's something called the Immersive Reader from Microsoft. Just take your code and get your computer to read it to you and listen to what it's saying. When it doesn't work, 99 times out of 100, it's because you've missed a capital letter, you've missed a colon, you've missed a bracket, you've missed the double brackets. Take your time, go through it, and try to find the errors, which can be incredibly subtle. A lowercase o and a capital case O look very similar, but they have massive changes to your code. Okay, so a final method here, just to quickly print with the car. And we'll use the method that we've already created for owner to print the registered keeper display owner, and not forget our brackets. Okay, so it's the same idea, but in this case we're creating two different things by calling a creation of the car instance. Car 1 becomes, we'll check the order. We need a make. We need a model. We need a registration number. We need a name. A street. And a town. And then we can I can't even spell display. Okay, is that going to work?
No,
Why?
because you've not declared the class, or the C1 doesn't have any class attached to it. I don't know if that's how you'd say it. But
Okay, we forgot to say that that's a car. Anything else?
I don't know. I don't know if you would need to separate it, because a car doesn't have. Oh, no, it does. Well,
I
because
can't
the
see
owner is the
any
difference.
owner list.
Yeah.
Because it says
Okay, so we've got the car and we've got the owner.
oh,
And again, we'll just go through the code step by step. Show you that. Okay, so we get here, we set up C1. We're doing that by going into car. We define the make, the model, the registration number. But the owner with name, street and town goes into the owner class and defines a new one in there. So we've defined the class, and then when we display the car, the first thing it does is jump to the display car method in the car class.
okay, never mind. Yeah, okay, I see.
And then when we need to display the owner, remember we've called that registered keeper, and that's an instance of the owner class. So we can use display owner in the owner class, which will print the name, the street, and the town. Okay, so it's working its way through all the different bits and taking them from each of them. I think we should all pause for a moment to enjoy Roland's joke, which was pretty good. In fact, let's give him a round of applause.
I don't get it.
Get in the bin.
You don't.
S-
Please tell me that was a joke too, please.
well, what's C4 reference to?
C4,
I've
guys,
Guys don't know what
C4,
C4 is?
please.
I've just realised. Okay, I've just realised. It's very early in the morning.
Oh God.
Any questions with that? Oh,
Wait, so, but this
yeah.
program
See how we applauded Roland? Is there some kind of blowing a raspberry or something that we can use for William? Okay, that's just
Oh my God.
right. Sorry.
How
Does
do you
anyone have
boo
any
that?
questions
I'm gonna
or
boo that. How do I boo that?
okay? Any questions, comments, anything about this quote? Are we happy with it? Anything you're not sure about?
So, but like, I guess the way you put the way you put the list together matters in that case. Like, it doesn't realize Skoda, like is like from the name, it's an actual car. So like, if you switched Skoda with Pablo, it would say like the make of the car is Pablo.
Well, that's like any other variable. You can call it whatever you want. That's your problem to decide what that is.
Yeah, but I'm just
That's
saying,
also
like
why
the
we
order of, yeah, the order of the list like matters is what I'm trying to say.
Of course. It's also why we put in things like checking last term, when we said things like, what's your age, and make sure that it's not less than 0 or above 111 or whatever number we decided was. So there's a lot more stuff that needs to get done to make sure that these are okay. But assuming that they are okay, yes, they'll be fine. It's partly the reason why on things like online forms, instead of just saying type in the make of your car, it has a drop-down list and it says these are all the makes of car, choose one. So you may not want to approach it this way, but yeah, it's fine. But yes, there'll be nothing stopping you doing something like this if you were so inclined. Calling your second car
Hey. Wait, so Pablo owns me?
Any other questions or comments on that one?
Wait, if my mic's a bit loud, I can turn it down a bit if that was a little.
It's not the microphone that's loud.
Oh, okay, Casey.
Okay, we're happy with that so far. Because
good with
what
it.
we can do, of course, is remember this is composition. So if we've created something, we can reuse it again and again. So here we have created, in essence, a database for cars. But you know who else has owners?
Dogs.
We could do exactly the same thing. We can create a new class called a dog.
You have name there twice.
Do I?
You have dog name and name.
And are they the same thing?
Oh, fine.
And that's exactly why I changed it to dog name.
Okay, you know what? I'll just shut my mouth.
We can then do the same stuff. Set up the dog. What have I done wrong first? Oh, yeah. Why is it upset? Correct answer, Mana. Okay, so we can set up the dog, we can set up the breed, but we can use this same idea that we've used up here.
Wait, how did you jump to the end of the line? Like you went to line 24 and then jumped straight to the end of the line. How did you do that? Yeah, that.
What?
How did you do that? Yeah.
Home and end keys.
Oh, that's really useful. Thank you.
Okay, so we can use the same format as we did for the cars, but in this case, we're not going to say Register Keeper. We'll call it Master. We can do our usual, set up a quick display for the dog. And again, use the same idea of display owner, but in this case it's not registered keeper, it's the dog's master. No limit. Well, there's a practical limit, but you'll never reach it, Roland. There's no limit for the number of elements, no. That said, if you've got masses of elements, then they're probably actually better split up into more functional parts. So in the same way, you might have more than one car. So you probably want to split up the details about the car and the details of the owner, rather than having them all together. But that's part of sorting out your design before you start it. Okay, so we can set up a dog.
You could have just done Max there, but
Okay, so we can set up a dog and we can display the dog. Oops. And we can display the dog.
You forgot your brackets.
Okay, so we use the same owner class for cars and dogs. And in answer to Jen's question, I actually really like dogs, but they're just too much work. I'm too lazy to take them a walk twice a day. So we've got cats, who I was assured look after themselves, but it doesn't feel like that. Any questions about the code? Yep, cats do.
Yeah, Tony could sing you a song about that.
Oh, you don't want to hear me singing. We all happy with the code?
I'm happy with it.
No questions? Okay. If you're all happy, oh, come on, computer.
Can you go easy on me in the naughty kids meeting?
You just need to wait and find out. Oh, come on, computer, you can do it. Hey, there we go. So, for next week, for all that stuff in the chat, that's a new thing in Teams. It's to, so if you, this one's scheduled 10 till 11, so it just comes up with a wee notice saying you get 5 minutes left just to remind you that you're coming to the end. It doesn't actually stop the meeting or anything. And it's just a reminder for people like me who spend their whole lives continually running overtime. Okay, so for next week, if you haven't seen the slides yet, go have a look at the slides. All the code that I've done is on there, so recreate that. Extend it. So we've had the player, the character, add in the location as well. And the weapon. So Paul is Professor Plum. He's in the hall with the lead pipe. Okay, so that's the first part. Next part is the owner stuff. So I want you to take that owner stuff, think of something else that's got an owner, and extend out the owner stuff with another example of your own choosing. And exercise 5, I want you to think about the design. So I said at the start, thinking about design is far better than working it out as you go along. So one of the things that I want you to think about is what's shown on the screen there. So there's inheritance and there's composition. So you've got some examples there. Is person and student, is that an example of inheritance, or is that an example of composition? Similar with all the other ones. I know it says put them on Aula, put them in Aula, put them in Teams, I don't care. Anybody, any questions about those exercises? No. What I think we'll do is we'll go back to one submission, so I'll make it exercise 3. And if I manage to get it wrong, please let me know, and I'll try and fix it. But I'll try and remember myself that it's size 3. No questions? Okay.
No, hang on. So it says there's 9 locations and 6 weapons, right? But there's not 9 suspects. So does it really matter that there's only 6 weapons?
What it's saying up here is that the location has a weapon, but there are more locations than weapons, so not all locations can have weapons.
Ah, right, okay, I get it
What
now.
do you put in there if they don't have one?
Pending choice.
But it's part of what you need to think about, and it's part of this whole design thing as well. So I'll be interested to see the different approaches that you guys all take. Any other questions? Okay, let me cancel the recording then.